people like me who don't know anything about it. So.
Yeah, well, it is really hard to shoot. It's a confusing sport to watch for someone who doesn't know the rules. And when I was with the league, I was part of the AV team. So just trying to figure out how to shoot a sport that goes in a circle without breaking any of the 180-degree lines and all of that. So really, what was important to us was this is a story about these women in the community kind of set against the backdrop of roller derby. And so we just decided to make the explanation of the sport and the rules one line. Susie saying, just, follow the star on the helmet and go. So that was definitely a challenge, but then the upside was, we had these just amazing shots of how athletic these women are.
And how did you handle that dual side of it, not being just a sports film? You mentioned that a little bit. How did you juggle these women's stories along with a bit of a sports narrative too?
I think that was definitely a push and pull between Cassie and I in the editing process. Being an outsider and not having skated, I think for a while we were trying to explain the rules and explain the sport, and then we both felt that the women's stories were the most important, and so we made an editing choice to cut down on the rules and treat the game footage more dreamy, set to music, and make that a stark difference from kind of the everyday life.
I sort of said a bit about not knowing, but if you watched the film, then maybe you've come away with something. What would you want people to come away with after seeing the film?
I'm still blown away by how much time and dedication all of the skaters have to the sport, because I haven't found anything in my life that I'm not passionate about, and it's just amazing to dedicate so much of your time, but you also get so much out of it. Through this process, that's what I think I discovered is why these women dedicate so much time to it, because they're getting so much out of it. And that's something I didn't understand before we went through this process.
Yeah, and one thing that was really great, and Eva gave us that sound bite, and I was like, that's it. So many people who are skaters have done interviews with the press that are like, by day, she's this, by night, she's a derby skater. And Eva just said, it's not a separate part of your life, it is your life. And so I'm really happy that we were able to show that on the screen.
So now I turn to all of you. Any questions out there in the audience? Not a one? Yes, I can hear you from this close.
So you just mentioned by day, by night. How did you two make this film?
Yes, yes, it did. The added complication was that both of us, we used to both live in New York, and we both now live in Austin. And so, we had to really be kind of lean and mean with our film shoots. We would kind of fly in and then test the patience big time of Eva and Susie and Sparrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eva and Susie are here tonight. And we would say, okay, we're here these 3 days and we're gonna, blow it out. So can we have you, how much time can we steal from you? But, so that was definitely a challenge. But the plus side was it really forced us to be on point with our story points, and we did a lot of paper edit ahead of time, and we would review all the footage from the previous shoot and then say, okay, what are we gonna hit next time? And so in a way that actually was helpful, because we couldn't, just shoot 400 hours of footage. We had to be super efficient.
Yeah, it was a lot of planning, a lot of red-eye flights on Thursday, shoot Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then red-eye home and, go to work the next day. But planning was critical, and lots of favors of letting us sleep on, people's couches and things like that, so we could have more money for an extra cameraman or an editor. Thank you.
How long did it edit?
A while. I mean, we started the editing process us, and then full disclosure, we're sisters, and we also lost our mother during that time, so we stopped for a while and then picked it back up, and then both continuing to have other jobs, and it was an extended editing period, but I think that actually helped the film because putting it down for a while and then seeing it again with fresh eyes after you've watched it 30 times, it was really helpful to kind of tighten up the end product.
And it was great. Our editor, weirdly, even though she is in a band with former Queens of Pain, Rowena Lynn, she'd never seen a battle. And so that was helpful too, because shots where we were like, oh my gosh, it was so hard for us to do the shoot at the, at Coney Island. She'd be like, yeah, but we're gonna cut it down to a minute. So it was really great. So it was definitely a team effort for sure.
Any other? Oh, here we go, right here. Yes.
How did you choose those three members to star?
Yeah. So originally I had. I used to skate with the Queens of Pain, so not completely unbiased. But I had approached Susie about kind of telling her story, but a lot of people love to tell Susie's story. She's great to watch, and we had talked to Eva, who's a member of head of PR for the league at the time, and then we knew she just had a baby, and I have 2 children. Amy now has a child, and I thought that was such a fascinating aspect, and couldn't believe Eva was willing to share that with us, because now having been through newborn, it's a lot that she was very generous to let us in, and then we wanted to pick a rookie so that you could have an entry point to the story, kind of experience the sport like a rookie would, and we really were. When we met Sparrow, we were like, oh my gosh, she's got such a great story and she's so compelling to watch. So, we really got lucky.
Yes. Yeah.
So during the writing process, how were you able to balance giving the story direction and knowing where you wanted to take it, while also letting the women's stories develop on their own organically?
I just want to repeat that we got really lucky, I think, with the narrative side of things. We went in this not knowing what's going to happen with the teams and the gameplay, let alone in these women's lives, and so we were just following, and things just naturally developed in the way that they did, and I think that was a lot of it. And we had some story points we thought might happen, but we definitely changed a lot of things throughout the entire filming process.
We went into it with our plan of how we thought the season would go, and it looked like Queens was going to win it all. And I'm sad personally for Queens, but I'm really glad for our film that they didn't, because it just made it so much more interesting. And Amy is also a writer, and it's really helpful to have Amy, your just story structure mind too. It's great.
One more? Do we have one more? If we don't, then I'll leave the last word to you guys. If there's anything you want to say about the film or everyone who's supporting.
I just want to say thank you all for coming today, for supporting us from the very beginning of this being an idea on Kickstarter and on social media, and thank you for your patience with us over the past 3 years that we've been working on this, and a special thank you to Susie and Eva for letting us into your lives and letting us show you. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, same here, and it's now Gotham Roller Derby. And so I would just say, go check out their website, follow them. The sport is trying to get back on its feet and will, and so we're just so grateful that we were able to share the story of all of these women with you guys.
Cassie,